your site mathematically. And now somebody's navigating your site, okay? Now the first thing our technology does is it goes, looks at this 25,000 mutual persona we have, and it says, who would best like this type of mathematical model? Bam! Okay, we got a lock on them. This person navigating the site, how close are they to that best model? Oh God, they're not. What can we do to make it better? Let's do this. That didn't work too well. How about this? Okay, good now. Oh, we're happy now. It's strange when you get a computer making these noises. Funny time, I'm just kidding. The joke used to be that the technology wouldn't work unless Joseph was within 15 feet of the server. And I had to stare at it really intently. But anyway. Actually, this goes right into what we're talking about. The visitor action metric. What's the intent? It gets the right message to the right people at the right time. You have to ask, if you're using web analytics, behavioral analytics packages, and by the way, if you are online, you have to have some kind of analysis. You have to. Unless you just have this great desire to throw money away, well, just write a check to me. I'm happy to have you throw money at me for nothing. However, if you are online, you really will benefit to some degree by some kind of analytics package. We, of course, are going to recommend ours. I'm shocked, I tell you. You need to find out, you need to ask yourself, does your existing analysis provide answers to these types of questions? Am I getting the right message to the right people at the right time? The person's on the site now, not 6 months ago, not even 15 minutes ago. Okay? Are you getting them to the message now? Does your existing analysis provide insight into the changes necessary to capture your audience? Loyalty. Everybody knows what loyalty is, right? On the internet, your website is your brand, not just that little logo. Your website is your brand. Are they loyal to your website? Okay, we actually provide that metric. One of the things we did for a recent Fortune 500 company, well, we recently did a Fortune 500 company, and they enjoyed it. No, we did a recent analysis for a Fortune 500 company, and we were able to demonstrate that when people were navigating their site, they would remember the experience for 12 days and return twice. How in the heck did we know that? Don't worry about it. That's part of our metric. Okay, that's part of our black box. The fact was, this was part of a usability study. And usability study was carried out by market research in Columbia, South Carolina, one of our resellers. And yeah, by God, people returned twice in a 12-day period. And then their interest waned. They didn't come back. How can we get them to come back more and more and more often? Well, how do else? We gave them a bunch of suggestions. The suggestions are being implemented. They must have liked them. 14 November 04, the Department of Commerce releases a brief. There's $18 billion in online transactions, and it's growing at 20% per year. Anybody want like a day's interest on that? Okay. Offline transactions are growing by 6% a year. How many of you actually measure through coming onto a site, through to a sale, or whatever your desire is? If it's not a sale, it's give me a white paper. Give me your email address, something, okay? You're going to be doing good if you're getting 1.5% of that. Agreed? Is that like an unreasonable number for most people? Wouldn't it be better if you got 1.6, 1.9, 2.5, 3.6, 99.99999%? Does everybody know what they're getting when they go to a James Bond movie? James Bond is a brand. I don't particularly go to a James Bond movie, but if I did, I know what I was going for. Right? Pierce Brosnan. I like him. How many here thought I was going to say something else? Fast Car. Right? Well, we all know that the only real James Bond is Sean Connery.
Right on.
I had three in my beard. No offense to anyone else. If your conversions, or if your visitor action metric is 3% of your website audience, in our estimation, based on the analyses that we provide and the the experiences we've had with clients, there's a real problem. Because that means that a lot of people are coming to your site, they don't really want to, or get lost, or can't figure out what they're doing, or are confused. Okay? If any of you have been to our website, you will know what confusion is like very rapidly. I must be honest with you. The Next Stage Evolution, well, we have two websites, Next Stage Evolution, Next Stage Analytics. The Next Stage Evolution website is and has always been where we do some of our research. So, yes, you're being monitored very carefully when you come onto that site. The Next Stage Analytics site, we don't do any of that stuff. Oh no, because we're trying to sell stuff there, so we don't care what you do. On average. Does everyone understand what I'm saying, that if only 3% is what you're getting, there's a real problem? You're not getting the right audience. Okay? On average, 78% of all transactions are dropped before they're completed, and only 1% of all site visitors return to a given site. And things are getting worse. That's from news.com, 2003 paper. And we have the pointers if you need them. Things are getting worse. In 2001, the numbers were 35% transactions dropped and 1.5% return visitors. So you're losing more and more customers. As more and more people are coming online, chances are you're doing worse and worse. Ouch. Coach Joseph, why say that? What's that?
No, because of the numbers. It's numbers.
Okay.
What is a good van? What is, that's a bad van.
Well, we would really, there's a lot of factors nobody has control of.
So just give me a benchmark.
6.5 to 7.
Great, thanks.
We have 9 message imperatives, because marketing effectively means making sure people know your brand, know your website, understand it, accept it. It's important to you. Okay? Take a page from anthropology. When is a handshake more than a handshake? The first message that we look for in a website is, I trust you. I don't care if you trust me, but I want to make sure you know that I trust you. Anybody want to guess why that's the most important message to get across?
So they kind of open up, they come in.
Right. Because if the first message I transmit is, I trust you, the website, the company, has made myself vulnerable to you. Right? I've said, I trust you. You ever see somebody go, I trust you? No, I trust you. Okay? So the first most important message is, I trust you. Then you have, this is important. I trust you, you can trust me. This is important to you. We can help you. We're good people, you're good people. But our competition.
Evil people.
Okay? Prior to this type of analytics, what most analytics cared about was what brought you to the page, and what page you were on, and when you bought something. Now we have something which finally takes into account the basis of human-to-human interaction. That's what NextStage does. We've created mathematical models, very precise, very detailed mathematical models of how people interact with information as if that information were people. Okay? So we are bringing human-to-human interaction to the human-machine interface. Do marketers understand how a person will interpret what's being published online? It doesn't matter what is published, it matters how it is communicated. If someone is considering a change to a service provider, for example, like a telephone service to a business, okay, they want to know that they can trust the provider to consistently provide, right? They may be looking at price and anything else, but they're more interested in trust issues than anything else. Think of it as cyber body language. Okay? That's what we do, cyber body language. For those of you who are paying attention to what's going on Capitol Hill and other Capitol Hills, you know that there's big concerns about spyware, third-party cookies, reliability and aging of data warehouses for all sorts of the transactional analysis systems. These concerns don't affect us. We don't use cookies. We don't collect any personally identifying information about people. Our data is constantly updated and sifting through itself, recognizing more elements about itself. How evolution technology is being used to advance the effectiveness of online marketing for a portion of our time. There you go. We consider that a pretty decent metric, 35%.
I thought you said 6.5 to 7.
Right.
Changing.
Right, but that's
Oh,
a
percentage increase.
that's a really good one.
So if it was 10, it became 30.5.
Yeah. Right. Final comments on this right here. Evolution technology allows us to assess a host of usage issues that just can't be measured using conventional testing approaches. It gave us an opportunity to go a lot deeper. The result was something much more valuable to our client than a typical study would have. And remember, this was done through one of our resellers. Okay, so the Fortune 500 was their client. Okay. The correlation between what we saw during the interviews and what ET picked up behind the scenes was startling, and now we know much more about website visitor behaviors, demographics, psychological factors than we would have. We see a lot more potential than what we originally expected. We're very happy with that. How are we doing on time?
3 minutes.
3 minutes? Does anybody want me to just cut through all this?
Yes.
Yeah, because I have a meeting, yes.
Okay.
I don't speak for the group.
Why don't we just open it up? You guys have any questions? I got a lot more slides. They're boring as heck. I spent weeks, I tell you, going over making them perfect.
How do you do business with people?
Actually,
Oh, sorry.
you have a question?
I just say, well, it's sort of along that line. What type of costs are you looking at to have your website analyzed?
Frank La Rosa, our director of, who's not here, he's on the East Coast. New England got smashed by snow. If you want, give us your business card, I'll have Frank get in touch with you.
How many is that paying though?
Can you give us a concept of what kind of investment would require, realistically?
No, I can't. I mean,
You really can't?
I really can't because
Seriously?
I can as far away from that as I possibly can.
But
What's
that
that? What?
I was gonna ask.
Ask me.
No.
What's the latest? What are we charging people? Anything?
Frank takes care of that too.
Frank, honestly. You see, let me tell you a true story. This anecdote. It's in one of our slides. France
Oh, this is your first anecdote. I thought that's what you were doing.
No, France Telecom. We were doing France Telecom has asked us to do some work with them. And in the course of doing this, I'm just kind of sitting there and Frank's going through all this due diligence stuff and making, everybody's talking happy and fine. And the guy offhandedly says, one of the problems we have is we have these 15-second TV spots, and it would be really great if we could run your technology on them and figure out how people are going to respond to these 15-second TV spots. Oh, the heck with the cybersecurity and this 6-month project, and they're going to fund it. I went, wow, that sounds interesting. We can do that. It's like for how much. Frank, of course, is now epileptic in the corner of the room. He just can't get his hands on my throat fast enough. Oh, I'll do it for free. That sounds really interesting. So that's why I'm not allowed. I'm the researcher.